I came to love my vagina. It's embarrassing, because it's politically incorrect. I mean, I know it should have happened in a bath, with salt grains from the Dead Sea, Enya playing, me loving my woman self. I know the story. Vaginas are beautiful. Our self-hatred is only the internalized repression and hatred of the patriarchal culture. It isn't real. Pussies unite. I know all of it. Like if we'd grown up in a culture where we were taught fat thighs were beautiful, we'd all be stuffing ourselves with biryanis and rashmalais, lying on our backs, spending our days thigh expanding. But we didn't grow up in that culture. I hated my thighs and hated my vagina even more. I thought it was incredibly ugly. I was one of those women who'd looked at it and from that moment on wished I hadn't. It made me sick. I pitied anyone who had to go down there. To survive this, I began to imagine there was something else between my legs. I imagined furniture. Cozy futons with light cotton quilts, little velvet settees, leopard rugs, and pretty things, silk handkerchiefs, quilted pot holders, or place settings. I got so accustomed to this, I lost all memory of ever having a vagina inside me. I pictured him inside a mink-lined muffler or a Chinese bowl. Then I met Omi. Omi was the most ordinary man I've ever met. He was thin and tall and nondescript, and wore khaki, tan clothes. Omi did not like foreign food or listen to Prince. He had no interest in sexy lingerie. In winter, he spent time in the shade. Omi did not share his inner feelings. He had no problems or issues and wasn't even an alcoholic. He wasn't very mean. He wasn't funny. He wasn't articulate. He wasn't mysterious. He really wasn't very mean, and he wasn't unavailable. He wasn't self-absorbed, and he didn't even drive fast. I didn't particularly like Omi. In fact, I'd have missed him altogether if he hadn't picked up my change that I dropped on the supermarket floor. But when he handed me back my change and his hand accidentally touched mine, something happened. I went to bed with Omi. That's when the miracle occurred. Turned out that Omi loved vaginas. He was a connoisseur. He loved the way they felt, the way they tasted, the way they smelled, but most importantly, he loved the way they looked. He had to look at them. The first time we had sex, he told me he had to see me. "I'm right here," I said. "No, you," he said. "I have to see you." "Turn on the light," I said, thinking he was a weirdo and freaking out in the dark. He turned on the light. Then he said, "Okay, I'm ready now to see you." "I'm right here," I waved. "Right here?" Then he began to undress me. "What are you doing, Omi?" I said. "I need to see you," he said. "No need, Omi, just do it." "I have to see what you look like," he said. "But you've seen a red leather couch before," I said. Omi continued. He wouldn't stop. I wanted to throw up and die. "This is awfully intimate," I said. "Can't you just do it?" "No," he said. "It's who you are. I have to look." I held my breath. He looked and looked. He became breathless, and his face changed. He didn't look quite so ordinary anymore. He looked like a hungry beast. "You're so beautiful," he said. "You're elegant and deep and innocent and wild." "You saw that there?" I said. It was like you read my palm. "I saw that," he said. "And more, much, much more." He continued looking for almost an hour, as if he were studying a map, observing the moon, or staring into my eyes. But it was my vagina. In the light, I watched him looking at me. And he was so genuinely excited and peaceful and euphoric. I began to get wet and turned on. I began to see myself the way he saw me. And I began to feel beautiful and delicious, like a great painting or a waterfall. Omi wasn't afraid. He wasn't disgusted. I began to feel proud, began to swell, began to love my vagina. And Omi, well, he was lost. And I was lost in there with him, in my vagina. And we were both gone.